If you guys want to check her out, I'll put a link down below. But oh, and I'll probably put her name here as well. She has the most amazing voice, and she inspired me along with other ASMR artists and just people in general that I've been watching, like binge watching these horror stories or like scary stories. And I want to warn you guys, I am a big scary cat, and I'm gonna try my best just to read the stories without giving too much of my opinions because I'm very expressive. I think you guys have noticed that. But I wanted to do my own. I don't know if this is going to be a series, but I just wanted to read scary stories with you guys because I love scaring myself and I'm weird like that. And I just wanted to thank everybody for being here. My newest, oh my goodness, I have gotten like a lot of new subscribers, and I just wanted to welcome you guys, and I wanted to welcome my viewers. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I do soft-spoken ASMR, different types of ASMR, and if you like it, check it out. Also, I have three ways that you can help support my channel, and I did link it down below. I'm trying to get a little bit more organized just to make it easier for you guys. And then also, I do want to thank my Patreons. I will be putting them here, or here, like wherever I find out how to do it. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I do exclusive videos that are not on YouTube or anywhere else. I do them on Patreon. And then you can also make specific requests. So if you guys have any specific requests, let me know. Check out my Patreon, and just thank you everybody. I love you guys. I really do, and just thank you for being here with me. Okay. Followed at night by a strange looking person. This all happened very recently. I'm a young woman who works late nights at a bar in a city, but I live in a rural area outside of town. It was a very slow night, so we closed early, and one of the bouncers walked me to my car. I didn't particularly notice anyone following me while I was on the main roads, just a normal sprinkling of a car. I first noticed them when they turned onto one of the super small roads that leads towards the area where I live. It was strange because people rarely pull up onto that road at the same time as me, and it isn't very populated. But as soon as we were on the winding and unlit road, they began to behave strangely. They'd flash their brights at me, then ride my ass until they particularly scraping my bumper, then pull really far back. I tried speeding up and slowing down, but that didn't seem to matter. When we came to the first intersection, they turned on their signal to go right. But when I went straight, I watched them in the mirror turn the noise of their car to the right, pause for a few seconds, then follow me straight. This continued for a while. At the next intersection, I signaled left and waited until they did too, and then quickly turned right, and of course they followed. I then called the cops and told them I was headed towards the gas station and I knew to be open. It was the only place remotely nearby that might have people at it, since almost nothing is 24-hour right now. They say said they dispatched police to meet me there, and I tried to focus on driving slowly so I didn't beat them there. When I got to the gas station, I pulled up into a little turn lane, which made my car pause, and then quickly step on the gas and squeal around the corner. I only really had time to glimpse the general look of the car and the driver's face. They were alone and very strange looking. They were incredibly pale, like albino pale, with snort, equally pale hair. Maybe the thinnest, but darker. Maybe the tiniest, but darker. Oh, tiniest, darker hair. Okay. They were completely androgynous, at least from what I can see, and they stared at me for a second before floating away. The police looked like 20 minutes. The police took 20 minutes to arrive after that, typically. So I just sat in front of the gas station and watched the road for cars. With my doors locked, the police said there wasn't anything they can do. My original assumption was that it was a pardon from work, but we'd had so few customers, I feel like I would have recognized them. I don't even know why they would have followed me the full hour only to begin making themselves really obvious. If anyone has any words of advice, that'd be greatly appreciated. Oh, I kind of thought that was going to be a little bit scarier, and I'm going to be honest, it really wasn't that scary. I mean, if I read it, it's not scary, but if it happened to me, yeah, it's definitely scary, because can you imagine like someone just like right behind you and right behind you, and then they like disappear. Oh, there we go. Okay, here's another one. This one seems kind of scary, which I'm a really big scary cat, but this one's pretty long. Okay, this one's pretty long, so just bear with me. The title is, I thought I was talking to my brother at 3 a.m. Turns out it was a burglar. Oh, that's kind of scary. First of all, I want to apologize for my grammar/language skills. Oh, mistakes. It's okay because I'm a horrible reader. Horrible. You know what I mean. English isn't my first language, but I think my skill is good enough for you to understand. I really understand the story. Oh, to really understand the story. Do you see what I do? I make up my own words. To really understand the story, or maybe how it happened, you need to know a few things. I live in Belgium, and at the time of the events, 2018, I lived at home with my parents, siblings, older brother, and sister, and my sweet dog. Looking back now, maybe my dog is a bit too sweet. Also important to know is that my family is all over the place. Everybody is always busy doing something. Everyone has a very different rhythm, and some days we live next to each other instead of with each other. So that is why at the time I didn't really know who was home and who wasn't. We do love each other. Smiley face. So in 2018, on a school night, I woke up to some noises in my room. I was confused and looked at my phone. It was around 3 a.m. You know that feeling when you wake up very abruptly and don't know if you're dreaming or awake? That was kind of how I felt. There's a straight light right at my window, so even though the curtains were closed, I could still make out some silhouettes and figures. As I had just woke up and wasn't really thinking, I thought thought the silhouette I saw in my room was my older brother. I was sleep drunk, as you could call it, and started asking him what he was doing, but he didn't really react. I saw him walking towards my jewelry and I asked him what he was doing. Again, my brother didn't respond. I was still laying in my bed and I began to feel angry because I had school the next day and I had to get up early. And as you do with irritating siblings, I started to curse him out. Job, get the F out. I have school tomorrow. Job is the name of my brother, Joe P. I will put it here. It's Jopppe. By the way, this time he looked at me, but again didn't say anything. He started to walk towards my handbag and started looking in it and taking things out. At this point, I was angry at my brother and finally got out of bed. Mind you, the lights are still off. I walked towards him and asked him again, "What the F are you doing? Get out!" Exclamation marks. And physically started pushing him slightly towards the door. Then he spoke. "Where's the money? Where's the money?" In a very strange, almost fake accent. And seriously, I started laughing it off. I still thought it was my brother. Okay, I don't know if you're drunk or just being an a-hole, but get out. By this time, we were almost at the door. I was still pushing him out. He left and I closed the door. Finally, I thought, as I went back to bed, but I started feeling unsettled. I got nervous and scared and started thinking it over. Didn't I smell cigarettes? Joppy doesn't smoke. Why would he act so strange? So just to be sure, I texted my brother, "Where are you?" His answer made my heart sink to my knees. "I just left the gym, home in a minute." I immediately called him and frankly explained there was just someone in my room. I started crying as I was panicked and asking him what to do. He said, "Call the police and stay in my room." As the gym was really close to our home, my brother came home, like literally a minute or two later. I was still upstairs on the phone with the police while I heard my brother yell a whole lot of curse words and "Get out." At that point, I was in the upstairs hallway because my sister woke up and was standing there too. My father fell asleep downstairs in the couch, so when he had heard my brother screaming, he immediately woke up and knew something was wrong. He went to the downstairs hallway and saw my brother chasing the intruder. At this point, they were already in the front door. My brother managed to get a backpack from the intruder, but sadly he got away and fled. My brother did get a look at him too. The police came and I was actually in shock. All this time my mother was asleep because she was on strong sleep meds. She woke up during the chase. When my sister and I were standing in the hallway, I was crying and she came up to us. I frantically told her what had happened. And she said, little one, that was a very bad dream." Oh my gosh. That's one of the things we still laugh about today. While we were talking to the police, we had to describe the person. I told them exactly what had happened and how he looked. Due to the street light, I could see the clothes he was wearing. He had a hood on, so I didn't see his face. And when I was close, he always turned his back towards me, so I'm telling the police lady about his stopped me. Green. Your brother said light gray. That's the second time my heart dropped to my knees. There were two guys, not one, but my brother and I were 100% sure about what we saw, so there had to have been two guys. They took a few iPads, phones, and wallets, but likely my brother took the backpack where there was a lot more valuable things that they didn't get away with. But the burglars were kind of stupid because we still had Find My iPhone on our Apple devices. And they were still running. A day later, when we saw my location, my brother jumped in the car with my father while on the phone with the police. Really, my brother is a badass. Going to the gym at night, he is in the military, chasing intruders through the house. I wouldn't F with him, lol. They waited for the police, and they went in the house where the location of our devices was and found one guy. He was crying and covered in his own piss and puke. Oh. They arrested him, and he confessed. He said he was high on drugs, and it was the first time he had ever did something like that. He was very panicky and crying the whole time. My brother recognized him as the intruder he chased. So that meant the guy who was in my room was still out there. The guy snitched on the other guy, but he was nowhere to be found. We all kind of got on with our lives, but I was really scared. I slept with my lights on for more than a year, and every time I could be awake past 3 a.m., I couldn't go to sleep anymore. The intruder they caught, went to jail for a year. He was a first-time offender and is now in a rehab program. He was sent us a letter or two with our consent, and we kind of feel bad for him. He was traumatized too. But half a year ago, we heard the second man was taken into custody. I was finally over it. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the beginning, but of course I still got scared sometimes. But now they finally caught the man that was in my room. What we found was unsettling by the least. While the dude that pissed himself didn't have a record before this happened, the dude who was in my room was a very experienced criminal. He had multiple possession charges, theft, drunk driving, and worst of all, assault and attempted homicide. The man I talked to cursed out, pushed out of my room at 3 a.m. was dangerous. And I'm very happy to be alive. Oh wow. That's actually really scary. Not like paranormal scary. More so like I'm happy to be alive scary. Holy macaronis. That's what I say, because I personally don't like to use profanity. I have nothing against people that do, trust me. Like, it's not a big deal, but for me, I just don't do it. So, holy macaronis is what I say. I know, you can laugh, it's totally okay. Almost murdered on a camping trip. Ooh, okay, let's see. Okay, I don't want to read about an animal. Let's just keep it a little lighthearted because, I don't know, animal cruelty is just not something that I care to read about. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to read it today. Okay, third story. Almost murdered on a camping trip. Hey, this is my first post ever on Reddit, and I'm on a mobile, so I'm sorry for the doggy mushrooms, is what I'm going to say. Formatting. This happened 2 years ago, August 11th, 2018, and since the anniversary just passed, I thought I would finally share this story. My fiance and I were on a second night of our 2-night camping trip at a popular campground and half an hour from where we live. For reference, my fiance is black. We live in a predominantly white, conservative, and racist area. This is important later. Sorry, I burped and I don't think that's very pleasant. On our first night, we kept hearing noises in the woods around us. The campsite, right beside ours. The right was occupied, but the one on the left was not. The campsites are about 150 yards apart, and we had camped here in the same exact plot the year before. Needless to say, we were familiar with the area and the various kinds of animals that live in the woods. The first night, we heard shuffling around our tent. It was obviously something large moving around. We brushed it off and assumed it was just a deer. Now back to the main event. On August 11th, we spent the day at the battlefields, a town over with my family. They had all been invited to join us for the day by my fiance's a surprise. Join us for the day. It says, I'm going to read it the way it says. Invited to join us for the day by my fiance as a surprise for me while he proposed to me. I'm thinking she's saying they were all going to spend time together, and then her fiance surprised her that day to be engaged. We stayed with my family into the evening, about 6 p.m. Before heading back to our campsite, when we got back, things were really odd. Someone had obviously been in our tent. Our blankets were thrown around, clothes were on the floor, and my backpack had been rearranged, and I was missing underwear. But hey, we were stupid 19-year-olds and decided that since whoever had busted in left and hadn't taken anything important, it was fine and they wouldn't come back. So we set up a campfire and sat out until it was dark, roasting hot dogs and s'mores, smoking cigarettes and celebrating our engagement. Around 9:30 p.m. we put out our fire and decided to go into our tents for the night to celebrate, quotes, a little more. Nothing too loud or obnoxious. Immediately after we finished, we started to hear the noises outside our tent again. But this time we focused in. We heard clear footsteps, and at one point a man whispering. We looked at each other and our eyes got wide. Someone was definitely walking around outside our tent. We were still and completely silent, just listening to the footsteps. And we heard whispering again. Shiitake mushrooms. Make that 2 men walking around our tent. Okay, that's getting kind of creepy. As if we had the ability to read minds, my fiance had said, I have to go to the bathroom. And I agreed. The bathroom was up the hill from our site. Most people who were in the lower sites, like ours, drove their cars to the bathroom. Now here's the part I still get chills thinking about. We got up, we're getting dressed. My fiance had just turned on the light in our tent and put his binder on when a man spoke directly to us from right outside the tent. What are you doing? malicious and menacing his voice sounded, it was clearly directed at us, and he said it with a snicker. He was watching us through the walls of the tent. Again, for this part, we were stupid 19-year-olds, so we decided to just run for the car. My fiance grabbed his pocket knife and his keys and stepped out of the tent. He pulled me in with him and we ran like hell to the car. I heard the footsteps running behind us and turning and running up to another campsite. At the bathroom, we talked over our options. We talked about sleeping in the car driving into town. Then we had another idea. We drove back to the campsite and began packing everything into the car. At this point, it was around midnight. We moved faster than I think either of us thought possible. Wrapping up the tent, our belongings still in it, grabbing the folding chairs. We were all packed in 5 minutes and hopped into the car to leave. I jumped out of the end of the drive and grabbed our nameplate, which had my family's full name on it, off the post. As we pulled out of the campsite, I saw our assailants for the first time. Stalking around the woods into our campsite were 2 tall white men. I realized that these were the same men who had been driving past our campsite the whole time we were there, just glaring at us, muttering to each other. One was wearing camo hunting gear, and the other was wearing a Confederate flag tank top, but both were carrying large hunting knives. Holy macaronis. Unshedded and at the ready. They turned when they saw our car driving away, and one started to make chase until the other stopped him. I made eye contact with the man in camo and he smiled, the most terrifying evil smile at me, and shook his head slowly. We drove a long way home, taking all the wildest, hardest to follow roads, and called my dad so he would know we were coming. When we got home, we told my dad everything. He shrugged it off as us being paranoid, so I never told anyone else besides all of you now. I'm convinced to this day that this was going to be a racially motivated attack. The campground was heavily populated and my fiance was the only non-white person at any of these campsites. It was no accident that the 2 men who had been shadowing us since our arrival and wore Confederate flags and had one on their truck decided to target the interracial couple. I still get cold chills when I think about how we were to be killed or seriously hurt that night, and just how lucky we were that our reckless plan to just make a run for it worked. So to those men who stalked our campsite with hunting knives, let's not meet. This was a long one, so thanks to everyone who sticks around and read it all. Holy macaronis. That's scary, but that speaks to the reality of this world and what we're living right now. Holy macaronis, that's scary. They could have been killed. They could have been hurt. It could have been so bad. I think out of all of the 3 stories, this one terrifies me the most because if they would have stayed there, what would have happened? Wow. I know these are not even light topics, but these scare me because they're real life things that can happen. And then the paranormal scares me because I'm just a freak of nature, and that's just what I am, and that's okay. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna link these 3 stories was really scary for me because I'm so happy that they got away, and it just makes me think of like other people that are in that situation. I don't know like what I would do in that situation, because like sometimes I'm like go go go, and then sometimes I just panic, like I will freeze. So I'm happy that they were okay. But I just want to thank you guys for watching. I just want to thank you guys for being here with me. And I just want to remind you to have a good day. And every day is a good day to have a good day. And I want you to get up, and I want you to wake up, and I want you to go and live your best life. Thank you for being here. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there are any stories that you guys would like for me to read out loud. And definitely send me the link, or at least the title, so that I can search it and